Thieves smashed their way into a Markham spa, a terrifying crime caught on camera.
Tonight, investigating a series of armed robberies. The arrests and the hunt for suspects still outstanding. Good evening. The incidents were violent, targeting spas in Toronto and Markham.
And all of the suspects are teenagers. CTV's Janice Golding joins us live with the details. Janice.
Hi, Michelle. Yes, Toronto and York Regional Police have charged 4 people and are looking for others in connection with a series of robberies here in Markham and Toronto. We're going to show you video of one of those robberies now, but we warn you, it is pretty chilling.
Hello, I'm calling 911 right now.
Around 4:20 a.m. on November 23rd, 3 males enter the foyer of a spa at Birchmount and 14th Avenue and pound the door open with a sledgehammer. The trio enters the spa, each running to different areas. In one of the shots, you can clearly see a suspect run from a room with a gun in his right hand. 2 suspects reappear from the opposite direction and start going through an entryway desk, going through drawers and cupboards and looking along the floor in search of something. Eventually, they disappear into a side room again before they reappear, making off with cash and a vehicle. This is one of 3 spa robberies police say took place over the course of 2 weeks, with 2 additional armed robberies taking place in Toronto. Police say in 4 of the 5 robberies, a stolen car was used. 19-year-old Aidan Murray from Toronto is wanted for 5 counts of robbery with a firearm and 2 counts of forcible confinement, while 19-year-old Daquan Estrada Kelly was charged with possession of property obtained by crime and possession of break-in instruments, and 3 youths aged 16 and 17 were also charged with various crimes, including robbery with a firearm and forcible confinement. 3 of the parties that were charged were on release orders and weapons prohibitions at the time of the arrests. Police say they are still trying to identify 2 outstanding suspects, and they believe there could be more victims. Anyone with any information about these incidents is asked to contact the York Regional Police Hold-Up Squad. Reporting live, I'm Janice Golding. Now back to Nathan.
Thank you, Janice. Still ahead, police make arrests for a series of shootings at a GTA movie theater. A trio of teens now facing more than 100 charges.
But first, after a day of fear and worry, an Etobicoke family got the best possible news.
They've been reunited with their beloved dog, stolen during a brazen daytime carjacking. CTV Sean Leathong joins us live with the details. Sean.
Well, Nathan, Michelle, certainly there is relief with this family tonight. An incredibly scary 24 hours. Then the community sprung into action.
And Roxy doesn't even know.
She's home. 4-year-old Roxy is relaxing on the family couch tonight after a scary 24 hours.
Oh, it was such a relief.
Owner Josh Miller is optimistic that despite having such a difficult night, the dog is doing fine.
You know what? She might have had a good time, right? She's a dog. She probably thought she was on an adventure.
It all started yesterday morning. Miller was dropping off his daughter at Bloor-Lee Middle School near Bloor in the East Mall when he was approached by a carjacker.
And he said, get out of the car right now or I'm going to have to hurt the kids at the school.
Miller got out and the suspect drove off in the white Jeep Grand Cherokee. That's when Miller had a realization.
Glad nobody got hurt. And that's when it just flashed back that I'm like, you know, our dog was in there.
Photos of the suspect were released and the search led police to the area of Hurontario and Mayfield in Brampton where the Jeep was found.
I got a call last night that they had found the vehicle and obviously Roxy wasn't in there. So that was it was a bit hard to sleep after that call.
Miller says friends, family, and even a network devoted to finding lost animals began helping, but this morning started with scary news.
The first text I got this morning was someone saying that they thought they had seen a dead brown dog on the side of the highway.
Miller began the grim task of driving to where the dog had been found, only to get another call from police.
Saying that they believed they had Roxy and they believed that they'd apprehended the suspect. And it turns out that they did. So, yeah, a lot of different emotions this morning.
We got a tip here at Toronto Police about the suspect and Roxy being at a residence in Brampton. That information was shared with Peel Police, and they had their central robbery unit respond to that address where Roxy was located, as well as the suspect was taken into custody.
There's been no official word on the charges that the suspect is facing, while Roxy is looking at a night of being spoiled.
She's going to get lots of treats. She's already getting lots of love from the family.
And thankful for a community that came to help. Now, Josh Miller was especially thankful to the police, both Toronto and Peel Police, for the work that they did, feeling that they really elevated this, knowing that the dog had been missing. And of course, he said he was very thankful to the tipster who saw Roxy. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Nathan and Michelle, send it back to you.
Thank you, Sean. Also tonight, getting charged up about Donald Trump's threat to impose tariffs. Premier Ford threatens to pull the plug on electricity in some U.S. cities, but will the power play work?
Well, if you're heading north of the city, prepare for dangerous conditions and possible snow squalls. There are watches and warnings in effect for a large area north of Toronto. Heavy snow with strong wind and low visibility, all expected. As for conditions here in the city, no snow to deal with, but it is cold and windy, so bundle up if you're heading outside for any reason. And wear the heavy winter jacket. It's a good idea. The good news is temperatures will eventually get back to above freezing in a few days. Jessica Smith is here with a look at the current conditions. Hey, Jess.
Hey, Nathan, I'm down here at the Oshawa Center, and I'm really glad that I'm inside because it's absolutely freezing. But we're down here for a special reason. We're here for Toy Mountain because we're building a toy mountain. We practiced that, but I'm going to get to your forecast. We've got a lot of business to take care of when it comes to Toy Mountain, but I have to do my job before I get to all that stuff. It is absolutely freezing outside. Those wind chills are wicked, thanks to a bit of lake effect snow going on and a breezy westerly wind. So if you do plan on going outside, come down to the Oshawa Center. It's warm in here. They got snacks in here. You can go shopping in here, but you're going to really want to layer up if you do have any outdoor plans. We are still looking at a laundry list of snow squall watches, warnings, and winter weather travel advisories as we head into this second half of our day. Winds have died down a little, but it's still pretty gusty with that straight up westerly wind going on out there. We're at -6 in the city out here through Oshawa, really kind of the same. It is cold out there, and those wind chill values into that double-digit range. And to be honest, it is not getting any warmer as we head through the rest of our evening, but there is some warmth on the horizon as we make our way in towards the weekend. But if you are heading out tonight and you're not coming down here to donate a toy at Toy Mountain here at the Oshawa Center, I would recommend layering up and then some. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast. We're going to have more on Toy Mountain. I don't mean to brag, but there are a lot of people here to show their support. But we'll have more coming up to build a toy mountain. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, I'll send it back inside. We got work to do here.
All right, we'll check in a little bit later. Thank you, Jess.
Thank you.
We turn now to the war of words sparking a potential cross-border battle with the U.S.
Canadian premiers, including Doug Ford, responding to a tariff threat from Donald Trump with a threat of their own. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris has been monitoring this back and forth and joins us live with the latest. Siobhan.
Ontario has a couple options here. It could stop the LCBO from buying alcohol brewed in the United States. It could stop sending critical minerals south side. But getting the most attention is a threat to stop the flow of power to some U.S. states. It's a threat the Premier maintains is a last resort in a burgeoning trade war.
That's the last thing we want to do. Would we do it? Let's wait and see.
The possibility of cutting off a supply of power from Ontario to 3 U.S. states if Donald Trump follows through on his threat of 25% tariffs on Canadian goods.
We can't just roll over as we're being under attack and hurting our families and our jobs.
Stopping the sale of power, one of the options in the province that helps keep the lights on for 1.5 million American homes.
It's not an insignificant sum. It's hundreds of millions of dollars worth of valuable energy that they could not secure in a matter of months.
Opening the New York Stock Exchange, the U.S. president-elect unbothered by the Premier's power posturing.
That's okay if he does that, that's fine, but the United States is subsidizing Canada. It's truly a subsidy, and we shouldn't have to do that.
There are questions about which side of the border would really suffer.
It's just a tiny fraction of the electricity that the United States uses, but it's a big fraction of our revenue.
That's right. The threat of withholding power, not one other premiers are signing up for.
I won't threat Donald not to send electricity.
Under no circumstances will Alberta agree to cut off oil and gas exports.
We have no interest in stopping the flow of oil and gas.
Opposition parties aren't sure Doug Ford is striking quite the right tone.
I think that conversations, negotiations go a lot farther than saber rattling.
When the Premier goes rogue and starts throwing things out, threats like he just did today, I don't think it helps.
The Premier has insisted there is a fight coming when Trump takes office, one Ontario has to be ready for. The Premier's office says the exchange between Donald Trump and the CNBC reporter at the New York Stock Exchange today shows just how like-minded Trump and Ford are, but didn't explain exactly what they mean by that. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. Also new from Queen's Park today, the province is introducing measures it says are meant to end homeless encampments. The Premier was joined by municipal leaders to introduce the proposed legislation. It will include stronger trespass laws and fines or jail time for illegal drug use in public. The government also says it's considering allowing the courts to provide rehabilitation as an alternative to incarceration for minor or nonviolent drug crimes.
I want to make sure that we do everything we possibly can to be able to save people's lives. If that includes compassionate intervention, I think that it's worth a conversation. We're having conversations across this country in regards to compassionate intervention. If this is about saving people's lives, why don't we put everything on the table and say, what are we going to do to be able to save these people's lives? I find it, and my colleagues find it, unacceptable that people are in tents that can either freeze to death or burn to death. Families expect us to do more, and we're committed to do more. That's what today is.
It's unclear when these measures could take effect, as today was the final day of the legislature's session until March.
Toronto's ombudsman is blasting the city's now reversed decision to stop allowing refugee claimants to access shelter beds. In June of 2023, local officials said 1/3 of shelter beds were already in use by asylum seekers, and they would refer them to federal programs going forward. Many were left sleeping outdoors before community efforts to rehouse them. Ombudsman Kwame Addo says the shelter policy was unfair, poorly planned, and unintentionally discriminated on the basis of citizenship and race. The city manager said he respects the work of the Ombudsman's office, but disagrees with the report's findings and recommendations.
This is the challenge of running a shelter system. And that's why I say that in this moment, we were making operational decisions that were in the best interest of everyone seeking shelter. To suggest there were all sorts of beds available at that time, that's just not the case. We were full.
Mayor Olivia Chow said steps have been taken since last year to ensure refugees were welcome in the shelter system. She added, quote, "I look forward to reading the Ombudsman's report. This will need a thoughtful discussion at Council. Transparency is vital in Toronto's shelter system."
There are new developments tonight in the investigation into a series of shootings at a Richmond Hill movie theater.
3 youths have been arrested and together now face more than 100 charges. CTV's Beth McDonnell reports.
There was not one, not two, not three, but 4 shootings outside York Cinemas this past May and June in Richmond Hill. Police say each time a trio of teenage boys is responsible for firing from different vehicles as they stopped in front of the main entrance.
It's brazen.
Now, York Regional Police have arrested the 3 suspects, a 16-year-old from Whitchurch Stouffville, a 15-year-old from Oshawa, and a 15-year-old from Toronto. In all, they're facing 109 charges, including conspiracy to commit an indictable offense and discharge firearm into a place reckless to others, all failing to comply with conditions of a Youth Criminal Justice Act sentence or a release order.
They were actually linked to several other incidents that occurred in Markham, Richmond Hill, and Stouffville, all of which were pretty violent. It's quite concerning, especially given their ages, that they are in possession of a firearm and shooting freely, essentially, at these locations.
Close to 6 months later, the investigation continues, with officers on the ground and extra surveillance. Police say the cinema, located near East Beaver Creek Road and Highway 7, had been showing films at the time of the shootings with patrons inside, but no one was hurt.
I would say it's terrible and it's unacceptable, especially for young people to do this.
We got to take away the guns. We need more laws to stop the guns from coming into the country. And 15-year-olds, where are the parents?
They really, really need to do something. These kids should not be let out.
Police allege the 3 are also responsible for an early morning shooting during the summer at Bayview Hill Elementary School. The motive for all 5 shootings remains unclear.
These were targeted incidents. In terms of why they were firing the guns, that is, again, part of the investigation.
Video evidence from the community helped police piece together the investigation and charge the teenage boys. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
A Toronto police officer who pleaded guilty to insurance fraud charges connected to the tow truck wars in the GTA will not serve jail time. Sentencing began today in the case of Constable Ronald Joseph. CTV's Mike Walker has the details.
Toronto Police Constable Ronald Joseph arrived at court where lawyers argued what his sentence should be, one that will not include any jail time. Serving with the force for 11 years, Joseph recently pleaded guilty to public mischief and 3 counts of attempting to defraud insurance companies through staged collisions. The charges stem from a lengthy police investigation dubbed Project Overhaul that started back in 2019, connected to the troubled tow truck industry, a scheme the Crown told the court that Joseph's rental and auto shop business would profit from. Crown attorney Mitchell Flagg describing it as a repetitive scheme where Mr. Joseph was the center and heart of it. He was in fact recruiting associates, people he barely knew, and he was the one core part of each of the incidents. That involved tow truck drivers, and in one incident, a bogus police report from Joseph that the Crown argued Joseph used his status as a police officer to mislead investigators. The Crown is calling for a sentence of 2 years less a day that includes 12 months house arrest with GPS tracking, followed by a curfew for 6 months. Mr. Joseph's crime is much larger than a one-off and reflected a great deal more planning and deliberation, the Crown stated. The defense argues Joseph wasn't on duty when these offenses occurred and is requesting a conditional discharge plus 2 years probation, arguing that even house arrest, which is a custodial sentence, will automatically disqualify Mr. Joseph from his profession. Having a suspended sentence, he's at least entitled to a hearing. The defense points out the guilty plea, the fact that Joseph had no prior criminal record or misconducts as a police officer, should be considered. Other co-accused have already pleaded guilty, including tow truck driver Kevin Lima, whose sentence the defense pointed out included a discharge after pleading guilty to more than a dozen charges. Mr. Lima is equally as culpable, equally as morally blameworthy. At the end of today's hearing, Joseph briefly addressed the court and said, quote, "I'm really sorry and it will never happen again." He will be sentenced on February 12th. Mike Walker, CTV News.
There's some major news to share with you this evening regarding the country's largest airline. 2 senior federal government sources confirmed to CTV News the federal government has sold its stake in Air Canada. Back in 2021, Ottawa bought 6% of the airline for $500 million as part of a pandemic bailout package. Last week, Transport Minister Anita Anand says she was examining the government's particular legal relationship with Air Canada. She made the comment while slamming the company's move to no longer allow free carry-on bags for passengers on basic fares to North American and Sun destinations.
To the ongoing Canada Post strike now. The union says its complaint alleging an unfair labor practice has been resolved. At issue was Canada Post temporarily laying off over 300 workers engaged in the nearly 4-week strike. The union called the move a scare tactic. Canada Post says it was simply wanting to adjust its operations to mitigate the effects of the work stoppage. The resolution requires Canada Post to rescind layoff notices to its workers. Canada Post says the resolution allows it to make certain staffing adjustments in the future if required.
As Ottawa and the province has strategized their response to tariff threats, border security has played a key role in these discussions.
The RCMP have increased patrols in southern Quebec to intercept migrants crossing illegally. CTV's Judy Trin has a closer look.
Since the election of incoming President Donald Trump and his promise to deport 11 million undocumented migrants, there's been a slight uptick in the number of people crossing illegally into Canada. They're not using official border points like the one behind me. Instead, they're cutting through the deep woods. We spoke to one homeowner, Louise Gobet, whose home backs onto the border. Here's what she sees.
In the last month, I think I saw one family with 3 kids running to the border. Nothing, no suitcases, nothing. They just run.
The RCMP is responsible for patrolling 815 kilometers of border in Quebec. Much of it is unmonitored. In the past 4 years, about 85% of migrants who cross the border illegally have come through this province. According to the Canada Border Services Agency, intelligence shows migrants are paying up to $45,000 to be smuggled across the border.
It is definitely heartbreaking sometimes when you hear all this story and what they've been through, and we're human, we'll listen to them. Most of our interventions are very peaceful.
Overwhelmingly, the illegal crossings are still bound for the U.S. American border authorities say they've intercepted about 20,000 migrants at their northern border. Meanwhile, the RCMP say so far this year, they've stopped about 600 illegal migrants from crossing into Canada. Judy Trin, CTV News, near Doria, Quebec.
U.S. President Joe Biden commuted sentences for nearly 1,500 Americans today and handed out 39 presidential pardons. It was the biggest single day of clemency acts ever by a U.S. president. Biden says each of the pardons was granted in recognition of successful rehabilitation for nonviolent crimes. No names were announced, though. Earlier this month, Biden pardoned his own son, Hunter, for firearm convictions, which the president said were politically motivated.
For weeks now, strange lights have been hovering in the skies over New Jersey, now believed to be clusters of drones.
With no indication of where they're from or what they're doing, residents and politicians are demanding answers. Here's CTV's Joy Malvin.
The nighttime flights began last month.
There's another one.
Swarms of them startling local residents.
And I see two big drones. They were propeller driven, going very slowly.
For almost a month now, drones, some as big as small cars, have been spotted flying over parts of New Jersey, near military facilities, weapon depots, even President-elect Donald Trump's Bedminster golf course. One Republican suggesting this on Fox News.
Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones,
prompting the Pentagon to shoot down that theory.
There is not any truth to that. There's no so-called mothership launching drones towards the United States.
Even the FBI didn't have answers.
What is going on in New Jersey?
We do not attribute that to an individual or a group yet. We're investigating, but I don't have an answer of who's responsible for that.
After a meeting with Homeland Security, local officials came away frustrated, demanding Washington take this more seriously.
6-foot drones. I mean, that's not somebody who went to Best Buy and picked up a toy. That's a legitimate aircraft.
They fly low, they fly fast, and sometimes go dark, making it difficult for police helicopters to track them down.
The most important point to say is we don't see any concern for public safety.
But assurances by the governor isn't cutting it.
And we're not hearing from people who see a Bigfoot. So that's why I said, bring in the Department of Defense, shut down the airspace until we figure out what are these drones doing.
And with no clear answer who's behind them or why they're here, the FBI's begun an investigation and set up a tip line. Joy Malvin, CTV News, Washington.
Cooler weather and a chance of rainfall could be the respite firefighters need as a raging fire continues to threaten parts of Southern California. The Franklin fire sparked last week, ballooning in size and driving thousands of residents out of their homes. The community of Malibu has been hit the hardest by this fire, impacting some 10,000 people west of Los Angeles. Thousands remain without power. Resident and TV legend Dick Van Dyke says if it weren't for the help of his neighbors, he may not have escaped the flames.
Two neighbors came, picked me up, carried me out to the car, my wife was ready, and got me out of here, or I wouldn't have done it. I don't think I would have made it.
Video from outside the home shows Van Dyke, who turns 99 tomorrow, being helped to safety as ash flies through the air. Officials say only 7% of the fire has been contained so far.
Coming up, getting on board with Titanic. The hit show is docked in Toronto, and we meet one of the buoyant Canadian stars of the hit musical.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, the GST tax holiday on some items begins this Saturday. Many retailers are scrambling to reprogram their cash machines, and many shoppers still aren't sure what's covered and what isn't. I'll have a rundown of what to expect. That story is just ahead.
And after an above seasonal start to the week, we have gone on the opposite end of the scale, and it is absolutely freezing. But it is December after all. But as we head in towards the weekend, we rebound back towards a much more seasonal point and then above. But we're down here for such a special reason. I'm here at the Oshawa Center with the GM, Chris. Now I want to talk to you about your involvement because you guys are not new to this. Why is it so important to always give back this time of year?
Well, it's great just to be part of the community, and that's one of the biggest things that Oshawa does, is that we've always been a part of this amazing community that what it is, and to be able to support the Salvation Army Toy Mountain is just great because, you know, we want every kid to be able to open something this holiday season and really to give back, and that's why we do it.
And I did some shopping, if I'm perfectly honest, when I first got here. And I'm with Teresa from the Blue Rooster. So talk to me about why you guys wanted to be involved, because I know it's important to you guys to get involved in the community.
The main reason is to put a smile on every child's face. Every child deserves a toy, deserves to be happy during the Christmas season, and it warms our heart to be a part of that.
I love it. And thank you so much. We appreciate your donation. And she has a big check. A big round of applause. And I want to throw to a really special video from none other than Mariana's Trench. Take a look.
Hey everyone, we are teaming up with CTV News Toronto to support their 29th Toy Mountain campaign.
You can donate any new unwrapped toy to any Toy Mountain location across the GTHA.
Your donation is more than just a toy. Visit toymountain.ca and click Toronto to find drop-off locations or donate online.
The GST tax holiday begins this weekend, and Ontario is also waiving the provincial sales tax, meaning you could save 13% on some items.
The tax break is proving to be challenging for many retailers who may have to reprogram their cash machines before Saturday. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Nathan and Michelle. Starting Saturday, if you buy a car seat, you'll save money on taxes. But if you buy a big screen TV, it won't make any difference. The tax holiday is only on certain items like toys, snacks, and beer, and it's only for 2 months. Stores across the country are getting ready for the tax holiday, which begins this Saturday morning. For some retailers, reprogramming their point-of-sale machines has been a hassle.
I have 400 plus tax codes, and I need to change them all.
It is a headache, and we're hearing a lot from retailers across Canada.
The Retail Council of Canada says overall businesses view the tax holiday as positive, but adds many shoppers still aren't sure what's included in the tax break and what isn't.
We expect consumers and customers to be either confused or frustrated, and we're getting ready for that.
The GST tax break, which includes the HST in Ontario, is on prepared foods, restaurant meals, some snacks, beer, wine, cider, and alcoholic beverages below 7%, as well as children's clothing, footwear, car seats, and diapers, some children's toys, board games, dolls, and video game consoles, some books and newspapers, and Christmas trees, both real and artificial.
Is it going to save the holiday Christmas season from a spending standpoint? No.
Retail analyst Bruce Winder says consumers need to educate themselves on the tax break to avoid chaos at the checkout counter.
They're going to say, hey, why am I paying GST, HST on this? And then there's going to be a conversation that ensues, and it'll be a bit of a nightmare at the cash register.
A survey by Field Agent Canada found that 54% believe the tax holiday is a good idea, 44% say it will impact their finances, and 49% plan to delay some spending until December 15th. While not everyone is embracing the tax holiday as a major event, for some families it will make a difference.
There are a lot of Canadian families that are really paycheck to paycheck and struggling to get through. And even though it is maybe only $15 or $20, that $20 is, you know, a big piece of their budget.
The Retail Council says the tax break may also help stores during January and February, which are traditionally slower months for retail sales. And shoppers don't need to do anything to claim the tax break. It will be applied at the checkout counter. The tax holiday is expected to cost the federal government about $1.6 billion and could cost Ontario $1 billion in lost revenue. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
Well, the weather outside might be downright frigid, but the feelings inside Oshawa Centre are warm and fuzzy tonight as our Toy Mountain grows in size.
Right. Jessica Smith is there taking in the magic of the season. Hey, Jess.
Hey, well, the weather is absolutely frightful. You're right, Michelle and Nathan. But the good news is we're down here at the Oshawa Centre for Toy Mountain because we're going to continue to build a Toy Mountain. But before we we do that, I have to get to the forecast because it is absolutely freezing. So you should come down here to the Oshawa Centre, do a little holiday shopping, and donate to Toy Mountain. It isn't one of those days you want to have on a layer or 2 or 3 or 4. It is absolutely freezing outside. We're at -7. It feels like -15, and I don't have great news. It's not getting any warmer, but at least we're a little warmer than our friends up in Red Lake at -21, feeling like -30. Tonight, dropping down to -9. We are below seasonal this evening, and we will see that wind chill around -17. So you're going to want to layer up, especially if you work shift work or you're heading out this evening. Into the day tomorrow, we get a little bit warmer. We're at -2, still below seasonal, and it's still a little windy out there, but the bulk of that flurry activity that has been affecting those communities along those eastern shorelines of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay, it finally starts to wrap up. So we got the sunshine tomorrow, but we don't have any of that warmth. Watching the system make its way across, it really is more of a lake effect snow machine that has prompted all those snow squall watches and warnings. And again, those communities, they know what to do when it comes to this kind of snow, but you still have to be really careful. They can still see by the time this is all said and done tomorrow up to 80 centimeters in some areas. So a heads up if you're traveling heading in towards the weekend. There's that trough making its way across Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. That's the responsible partner for all of that flurry activity and all of that wind. But there is some more seasonal weather and slightly above weather on the horizon. Timing it all out for the rest of our night. Again, it's relatively clear throughout the GTA. Those lake effect flurries still impacting areas through Owen Sound, through Cottage Country, and into our Friday morning. Lots of sunshine out there, but it's not warm sunshine. So again, heading off to school tomorrow, a heads up for everybody. Layers are going to be key. Put on your favorite Christmas sweater. As we head into our Friday evening, again, it's a little chilly out there, but there is a little bit of a change in the wind direction heading into the weekend, and we see a shift back to the positive side, getting well above that seasonal norm. So if you want to get out this weekend, and probably the better day of the two is going to be your Saturday. Into Sunday, another system comes through, but this time, because it is warmer outside, it falls as rain instead of snow. As we head into the next 7 days, the roller coaster of emotions when it comes to this forecast is not changing. It is cold as we head into the day tomorrow. That's before you factor in any kind of a wind chill. And then Saturday, it starts to get a little warmer. We hover around that freezing mark. And into towards your Sunday, some showers, but it begins an above seasonal trend. So if you like the warmer winter weather, we've got that. If you don't, we've got that too. But we're down here for Toy Mountain. It is such an important time of year to give back to your community, and that's exactly what's happening. I have some really special people here, but I want to start with Sebastian from Walmart Canada. Why are you guys here donating? I know obviously you do a lot for the community, but why is it so important to you to be involved in this campaign?
Yeah, so this is an exciting moment for us. Are you guys excited? So we're excited. We love giving back to the community, and we really take pride in that. So, you know, it's a special day, and every child should wake up with a gift under the tree this year. So we're hoping that our contribution today can make a difference for everyone out there.
We love to see it. And your lovely assistants here have a check. Can we do a big reveal, big drum roll? There we go. We've got, oh my goodness, $25,000. That is so appreciated. Thank you so much. And Dill from Remax Realty. Talk to me about your donation. Also, I love your sweater. That's just a shout out to the fashion. But talk to me about why it is so important to you guys to get involved. I know obviously you're in the community helping us with our homes, but why is it so important for you guys to get involved?
Well, we've been doing this for last 3 years, and I think this is the first time we're collabing with you guys, so thank you for the opportunity.
So welcome.
I think very important, we see food bank lines up this year. This year is crazy. Every food bank's out of stocks. So what that means is people that actually used to donate or contribute, now they're the recipients from the food banks. So a lot of these kids and folks probably were not going to have a really good Christmas. So I think today we brought in about 500 toys, $5,000 that we're donating.
That is a lot of toys, 500 toys, and you have a donate. We love the big checks, but you talk to me about what you guys are donating today.
We're also donating $5,000 with Ramachandra Law Office. But it's all about community. We are Durham-based real estate team, and it's just making sure that, the kids, like he said earlier, Sebastian, making sure that every kids wake up with a toy.
We love to see it. Okay, I have a very special 3 guests, technically. Come on, and you guys know who Lindsay Morrison is, obviously. Welcome, Miss Lindsay.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
You have the cutest tiny gentleman. Tell me who you have with you. I know, but introduce them.
Yes, this is my son, Charlie, who's been to Toy Mountain a couple of times.
He's a veteran.
And then this is Lachlan, who was around quite a bit for Toy Mountain last year, just in a different way. And we're so happy to be here tonight with you.
It's so special to have Lindsay here. Obviously, you've been such a big part of this. What does Toy Mountain mean to you? I mean, I've been watching for years. I'm a fan of Miss Lindsay, but what does it mean to you to be able to see what this community really does for each other?
I'm a fan of yours too, Jessica, and we love Toy Mountain. It's so important in our family. Charlie's now getting old enough that he understands, kids helping kids. And so we also know that baby toys are in demand, so that's what we decided to do tonight.
Well, we love to see it. It's so nice to see you. We're going to send things back inside. Can you say Merry Christmas?
Merry Christmas.
There we go. We'll send things back inside as we build a toy. There we go. Hi, everybody.
Oh, he's so cute.
Oh, they're adorable. We can't get enough. Grab the mic.
See you soon.
There you go. You got it.
Wow. Well, also tonight, you may have heard about theaters urging fans not to sing while watching the movie Wicked. Well, those who can't help themselves will have the chance to belt out the tunes to their heart's content. We'll explain.
A musical comedy has now docked in Toronto.
Titanic is a twist on the 1997 Oscar-winning film that also celebrates the music of Celine Dion. CTV's Andrea Case has the story.
I'll be certain she's my girl. Mike Molino is a talented singer, actor, and dancer, and you can add pianist to that list, as was required when he was cast in the Carole King musical, Beautiful. Currently on stage now in Titanic, he doesn't have to play the piano, but all his other skills are heavily called upon.
I play Victor Garber, the captain of the ship. The character's an amalgamation of the captain of the ship and Thomas Andrews, who was the builder of the Titanic. So unfortunately, I'm the one who crashes the ship into the iceberg.
I will never forget the day I got on board of Titanic. There were so many people waiting to get on the ship that day.
Titanic, or Titanic, is the 11th-time Oscar-winning film reimagined if Celine Dion, the singer of the heart-thumping theme song, was actually on board the fateful voyage.
But Celine Dion, you just sang the theme song to the movie. You weren't actually on the Titanic.
Oh, was I?
I was a kid, and I remember her being there on TV, singing in front of the Pope at the Olympic Stadium in Montreal, and I was mesmerized by this voice. And then as years grew by, I grew up with Celine, and her voice always inspired me to belt out and sing out so much. And her music is just kind of like the soundtrack to our lives. The show has been written by 3 Americans. I think the U.S. knows more the English catalog.
It's a romp which has become the most award-winning off-Broadway hit ever. Titanic is on stage at the CAA Theater now.
I love you so much. Good night.
Andrea Case, CTV News.
After this week's Golden Globe nominations, we know which films will be in the spotlight at the Critics' Choice Awards.
What happened? They say a heart attack.
You know how rumor spreads.
Vatican mystery drama Conclave is tied for the most nominations at 11, including a Best Actor nod for Ralph Fiennes. Also with 11 nominations was Wicked Part 1, which saw Cynthia Erivo nominated for Best Actress and Ariana Grande for Best Supporting Actress. The 30th Annual Critics' Choice Awards take place 1 month from today, hosted by Chelsea Handler.
Wicked has also been a hit with fans, and now there's a chance for them to sing along with the film.
Loathing, unadulterated loathing.
There will be special sing-along screenings starting Christmas Day. Tickets are on sale now. Wicked 2 is set to arrive in theaters next November, so until then, people can break into song for Part 1.
A busy week for pop star and actress Selena Gomez. First, she earned 2 Golden Globe nominations, and now she is engaged. Gomez shared the news on Instagram that she's engaged to record producer Benny Blanco. The pair started dating last year. Celebrities sharing their well wishes on social media include her close friend Taylor Swift, who joked she wants to be the flower girl at the wedding.
After the break, don't sip on Lord Stanley. The official warning to stop using the travel mugs, or you could get burned. We'll explain.
Hello, I'm top 911 right now.
Updating our top stories, York Regional Police say they've arrested a number of suspects in connection with this violent robbery at a Markham spa in November. It was one of several similar incidents in Markham and Toronto over recent weeks. 19-year-old Daquan Estrada Kelly was taken into custody alongside 3 teenagers aged 16 and 17. Police are still looking for 19-year-old Aiden Murray and at least 2 other suspects.
That's the last thing we want to do. Would we do it? Let's wait and see.
Premier Doug Ford is standing by his threat to cut off electricity exports to U.S. states if the incoming Trump administration imposes tariffs on all Canadian goods. The president-elect said it would be fine if Ford did so, while other provinces said they wouldn't be likely to follow suit with similar measures.
She's going to get lots of treats. She's already getting lots of love from the family.
Roxy doesn't even know.
And relief today for an Etobicoke family after their dog Roxy returned home safe. The 4-year-old chocolate lab had been in the back seat of the family Jeep when it was stolen from Josh Miller. Photos of the suspect were released, and the search led police to the Hurontario and Mayfield area in Brampton, where the Jeep was found along with Roxy.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca by downloading the CTV News app.
On the markets, the Canadian dollar was at $70.30 U.S., down about 1/3 of a cent. Oil closed at $57.34, up $1.45. And the TSX ended at 25,410.71, down just under 247 points.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
Before you take another drink from your travel mug, you may want to make sure it's not part of a safety recall issued by Health Canada. Officials say anyone with certain Stanley-branded switchback or trigger action travel mugs should stop using them immediately. They warn they pose a burn risk over the potential for the lid to detach. At least one person has reported a burn injury in Canada, 2 in the United States. The company says it will offer customers a free replacement lid.
And Made Good is recalling granola bars sold in Ontario and across Canada after pieces of metal were found by 7 customers. The company describes the piece of metal as a small, flat brush bristle. The affected products were made between January and November of this year. The recall advises consumers to check UPCs and expiry dates on any packaging on items already purchased. There have been no reported injuries.
The Leafs are back in action tonight after the win in New Jersey on Tuesday.
In comes Austin Matthews. He can win it. Scores! Austin Matthews, breakaway goal!
Austin Matthews scored in overtime to lift the Leafs past the Devils 2-1, despite being wildly outshot. Tonight, the Leafs host the Anaheim Ducks, who are last place in the Pacific Division and have lost 4 in a row. Puck drop at Scotiabank Arena is at 7 p.m.
The Raptors are in Miami tonight, but they'll be without Scotty Barnes. Toronto's all-star forward is out for a while after spraining his right ankle earlier this week. The team says the injury will be reevaluated next week. The Raptors are trying to end a 3-game losing streak when they take on the Heat tonight.
We are down here building a toy mountain at the Oshawa Center, and I'm joined by a very special guest, Randy from Their Opportunity. You're holding hockey sticks for a really particular reason. We have some helmets behind us. Talk to me about why you guys wanted to donate some of this really incredible equipment, because sports are so important.
Yeah, I think this time of year especially, kids are looking for opportunities to be involved in sports and recreation programs. We want to remove that barrier. And our friend John Tavares and Aaron Tavares reached out to us and said, you should do this. And so we're doing it. And I hope a lot of kids have a great Christmas and they can enjoy this new equipment.
Listen, if John says we got to do it, we got to do it. Randy, thank you so much. We appreciate the donation. We're going to have more on Toy Mountain as we continue to build a toy
mountain.
That's what I'm talking about. More after the break.
Ryan Reynolds is stepping up for Sick Kids Hospital once again. He's released his annual holiday video in support of the hospital, and this year he's getting some help from an old school superhero.
But we're gonna need some help because you and I are technically R-rated, and these are kids, sick kids.
Did someone call for help?
Linda Carter! What? Aren't you a...
Wonder Woman herself, Linda Carter, joined Deadpool and Kidpool for this year's video. It's the 6-year Reynolds has used his unique brand of humor to help raise a whole bunch of money for sick kids. And this year, Reynolds and his wife, Blake Lively, are matching donations up to $500,000 until Christmas Eve.
Very funny. Well, 'tis the season of giving.
And that is on display at Oshawa Centre tonight. Let's check in with CTV's Jessica Smith one more time. Jess.
'Tis the season to give, and it's also the season to maybe be inside this time of year because it is not warm outside, but it is December after all. We've been seeing those wicked wind chills all day, and it doesn't change as we head into this evening. So come on down to Oshawa Centre, donate to Toy Mountain, and come inside and stay warm. Now, we're still watching for some lake effect snow off those eastern shorelines of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. For the GTA, for the most part, it's just chilly as we head through the rest of our evening. Temperature-wise, right now, -7. It feels like -15, but everybody looking at those double-digit wind chills. Heading in towards the weekend, it does warm up just a little bit, just in time for your Saturday and Sunday, but we go from snow to rain, and it warms up a little, but there's a trade-off this time of year. So if you're heading out, especially into Sunday, you're going to want to maybe bring the umbrella. Now, we're down here for a really important reason. Obviously, this is the Toy Mountain campaign. You guys know what's up. I'm joined by Stacey from First Frontier Logistics. You guys have some really great assistants here with their really big, wonderful smiles and this big check, but talk to me about why you guys wanted to be involved again.
For us, this is our 3rd year doing it, and it's just a way to give back. It's such an important cause. Every child deserves a toy, and we just want to help as much as we can. So, yeah, we're just happy to be here and being able to contribute today.
And you have a fantastic check. A big round of applause for this wonderful donation and our assistants here. It means so much. And obviously, we couldn't do this without the Salvation Army. Justin, talk to me about what it means for your community to get so involved in something like this every year.
It's huge for us, for the community to come together, and especially to see the kids come and want to give other kids a great Christmas because the need continues to grow. Parents and families are having to make impossible decisions every day about what they do. And so we're just so grateful for the support, for you guys coming and being here and supporting us through all of this as well.
As we build a toy mountain, we'll send it back inside, and come on, make your donations. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks for a fabulous hour. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. That's it for us, but be sure to catch CTV National News at 11, followed by Paul and Chano as your next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, thanks for watching and have a good night.
Good night.